We will call the Public Utility District Number 1 of Skagit County Board of Commissioners meeting for June 10th to order and starting by the Pledge of Allegiance. Please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Looking for a motion to towards the consent agenda, items 1 through 6.
Motion to approve consent agenda as presented, items 1 through 6.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Now we'll move on to audience comments. Is there any audience comments online? Oh, please use the raise your hand function if you have any comments regarding the normal agenda items online. Nothing is observed online, so we will continue with old business. General Manager's report. Kevin.
Hey, good afternoon, commissioners.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, let's start out with General Manager Sadhu and Commissioner Miller are joining our top ops team at the ACE conference in Denver this week. So that's why they're not here. And there have been no reports yet on how our team is doing, but there are high expectations from last year. So they finished third. So no pressure there. So hopefully they'll do well. And then this Friday, our IT department will migrate our operations network to the new data center, which is the final step in decommissioning the data center in our old building. So I'm not sure why they picked Friday the 13th to do that, but hopefully all goes well. And it will be out without internet for about an hour or so that morning. So, okay. And then coming next Wednesday, the 18th, we have our quarterly all staff meeting. So the office will be closed for a couple hours that morning, so everyone can attend. And then the following day, Thursday, is June 19th holiday. So P to be closed all day in observance of the holiday. So, and then last, I don't know if the commissioner saw it, but we have the past commissioners and general manager photo gallery up now. So you take a look. Someday you'll be on there. So hopefully you take a look. Looks pretty good. So, and that is all I have for tonight. And I'll just kind of swing it over to Mike to talk about operations.
Good afternoon. This will be kind of brief as well. Mark covered pretty much everything last week. Or 2 weeks ago, I should say. So a few of the things we have going on out there, we have found out over the past several months, the Gilligan automation is working better. We put a new ultrasonic meter in about 2 months ago, which seemed to solve the metering math issues and had some more calculations to do so the thing would run better on its own. And even though we had to replace the meter earlier this spring, the automation of it did impound a lot more water this spring. We were able to have the guys turning on during weekends and off hours when we didn't have enough operators to go physically turn it on like they used to. So we did gain a little bit out of it this year. And now with the new meter that came kind of later this spring, hopefully when next fall rolls around, we'll be in a lot better shape to really automate it. The SRD right now is well, I guess I should also add that we didn't run the SRD in April because our level of the reservoir was up enough from, I think, impounding a lot more water than maybe possibly did in the past. With the automation of Gilligan, we were in pretty good shape, so we didn't start pumping until May. Gained quite a bit in May. We're just a little over 460, so about 4 or 5 feet down from complete spill. And then now we're starting to get some screen pluggage from the little bit of silt in the river and stuff. We're starting to have a hard time running the pumps this time of year, which we're getting close to the point of not being able to run them anyway, or at least run multiple pumps. We did turn a second one back on in June, which typically we would just run one now, but with the river as high as it was, we didn't think the in-stream flow rule would hit as quick. But now we're running into some siltation issues. But again, not pumping in April. We're still money ahead and didn't pump as much as we normally did. And then we're also going to start the piezometer project coming up, which was in the 2025 budget. And this is going to automate all of the piezometers, the 40-some piezometers we have on the dams for remote data collection and reading. So people aren't out there physically sticking a line down them once a month. So now we'll be able to trend the data and keep an eye on levels and so forth autonomously. It'll be better in the long run for many different aspects. And I just did hear from George a little while ago. Top ops came in second, third, and second in the rounds today, and they will not be advancing tomorrow, unfortunately. Late breaking news. In April, Amelia had the lab audit done with Department of Ecology for recertification and accreditation. So she did a lot of legwork ahead of that time, sending in paperwork and all the information needed before the actual on-site visit, which we haven't had one in a few years because of COVID. So this year we actually had a person come and do an on-site visit and check her methods and procedures. So everything we send in is technically correct and legally defensible. So they were very pleased with how everything is run up there and got an excellent review by them. Maintenance right now is mostly doing mowing and right-of-way maintenance. It's time of year where we got to get on top of that stuff in between other projects. Hydrant maintenance, township was completed, and the paving should wrap up today. That should all be pretty much wrapped up on that job. And they're catching up on previous repairs on concrete and asphalt jobs in other areas. Trying to get the past stuff fixed in 12th Street, things like that. We have a few new employees that joined us. Jacob Baker joined us on May 12th in the maintenance crew from the city of Cedar Woolley. Marcus Shadbolt joined us on May 19th. He came from Alderwood Water. And Zane, who has been our maintenance person the last year, has moved up into, I should say, our yard and facilities maintenance has moved up into the maintenance crew as a full-time worker in there as well. We had I'm going to skip ahead of this a little bit. The sanitary survey is kind of what this picture is about. We had a sanitary survey from the Department of Health on the Judy system. They pointed out two or three of our reservoirs have our drain/spill piping that goes right directly to a catch basin that these guys are standing around. We have that in a couple different locations, and they would like us to correct that and put air gaps in them. So we have some piping to do to change some of those, and a couple of them we're going to be able to get away with doing some other modifications with check valves and stuff. So overall, the survey results came back really good. Just a couple of suggestions on us changing some what they see as potential backflow issues, which I think are a stretch in this situation, but we'll be addressing those as the year goes on. The micro hydro got commissioned, as you saw in the vouchers. They were there Friday, and we did some test runs. It's able to go power into the grid. The guys are able to control it and activate it locally. We're still awaiting integration back to the SCADA system so the operators can run it remotely. Because right now we can't see Ninth and Highland Reservoir. The control systems up there all got switched over to the micro hydro. So everything's interfacing through there. They just need to make the connection link again between the micro hydro and that panel and our SCADA system so the guys can see the tank and run it and be comfortable with leaving it running overnight and so forth, where they're not right now because you can't see the tank. But they are able to go up there, open the panel and push the button and let it run all day or whatever if they want to, but we're not completely autonomous yet until we get some integration done. A couple more SCADA sites are going to get swapped over to more automation. Speaking of, Dukes Hill and Hoogdal are going to be automated coming up next. Those panels are coming in, or going to be put in the next month or so. So this being what the micro hydro looks like now on site, the site is still rather rough after all the construction. So the ground has been regraded and some vegetation removed, and now we have to have a landscaper basically come in and define some of the areas around the power panels and the gravel areas, and they'll kind of dirt and seed the whole thing and get it all looking better again, so we can get some more picture opportunities or have it a little better looking by this fall, hopefully. But it's a little rough right now after all the construction. That's what the inside of it looks like. Opening the door, you see the motor on the left. That is the device that spins in a counter rotation manner that creates electricity. And the interface panel is there on the right, with the guys standing and looking at the HMI that the guys can actually go up there and control it from right now and operate it when they want to. But again, once that gets talking to our system, they'll be able to do it remotely. And we had a training day Friday, showing the guys how to operate it and how to run it. That meter, the little gray thing underneath that main screen, is the meter that shows how much water is going through the micro hydro. So basically a training session on what happens if the power goes out, or how to adjust it here. And it's pretty much locked in and set for what it's going to do. There's not a whole lot of variation these guys will do with it. If it doesn't keep up with the system, our other PRV will keep up and help flow into the tank. So should be pretty much hands off, we hope. And then that is the car charger that is on the other side of the property, on the high school parking lot side, that is fed from the power creation side of the micro hydro that goes back to the grid. So that is the power charging station for the vehicles. They put a little notch in the fence, basically, so the access from the high school parking lot to charge their vehicles. And that is pretty much all I got. Unless you have some questions.
No.
None for me.
No, thank you very much.
Thanks, Mike.
All right. So we will now recess a regular board meeting, recessed at 4:41, to conduct a public hearing on the proposed declaration of surplus real estate property. Following the hearing, we will be reconvene the regular meeting. The public hearing is to consider declaring real estate property P 74619 as surplus is now convened. The purpose to receive public input and comment on this proposal. Commissioners may pose questions as appropriate, and we will start off with a staff presenter on the topic.
See if I need to lower this a little bit. So staff is recommending the surplus of a vacant parcel in the Big Lake area. It's a couple blocks northeast of the intersection of SR9 and Montbourne Road, which is basically the Big Lake Bar and Grill area. Judy obtained the property in 1998 due to a foreclosure. Am I not standing right? There we go. Due to a foreclosure, at which time the assessment for the Big Lake LUD had not been paid by the property owner. So the property has sat vacant since then. I looked in the file, and there's been a couple instances where properties on either side the owners have asked if they could purchase the property, but for whatever reason, the surplus was never brought to commission. It came up again earlier this spring when a property owner adjacent asked the maintenance crew if they could do some weed control, and that property owner is here tonight. She's interested in purchasing the property. So I wanted also to note that in 2018, the Skagit Assessor's Office changed the designation from residential to right-of-way, and so it hasn't been assessed since then. If an individual were to purchase the parcel, it would go back to residential and be taxed and assessed as such. Staff did not obtain an appraisal, and we didn't seek a lot certification for this property because at this point we've just kind of deemed it a liability and a maintenance concern, and we didn't want to keep spending money on it. We're recommending that if the surplus resolution is approved, that we just sell the property as is through a public bidding process and go open for 2 or 3 weeks. And then staff would come back with a recommendation based on the results of that bidding process. Are there any questions?
I have a quick question, but I believe our comment questions after the public comment.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. Sorry, this is the property owner. She is saying she can't hear. Sorry, I didn't, the public hearing will be after this, after the questions and answers. Is that correct?
I have that. I have the public and then the commissioners will ask questions
Okay.
after the public.
Okay,
So
so
yeah,
the public hearing is next if you'd like to make comment.
yep. The public comment period is now open. Members of the public who wish to address this matter are invited to come forward and state their name and address for the record and present their comments.
Hi, am I too close to the mic? Okay, I'm Carrie Browning and my son William is with me. I bought the adjoining property in 2020 and this lot that's in the corner that PUD owns is not a buildable lot. It's 40 feet wide and 115 feet long. And with the setbacks of being 35 from the road and 25 from the back, it's of no purpose to anyone but me. And the only purpose for me is that my son's been maintaining it. When we bought it, it was 10 feet tall of briars and I paid Vandegrift to mow all my briars and that and Scotch broom. And my son's been maintaining it, but he's off at grad school now. And I don't have the wherewithal to fight with the blackberries and the tractor and the weed whacker. And it's just a noxious weed hazard. You know, it's class B, it has to be taken care of. And the briars give home to the rodents because you always have those neighbors that don't close the lids on the garbage can. And I just really want the property to be cleaned up. That's why I called because I didn't want to pay for it anymore. And yeah, and my concern is when it goes out to bid, will people be notified about the setbacks? Because there's some people that don't understand. They think with a 40-foot wide lot, they can build something. And they'd have to get some pretty good variances from the county on the setbacks on all the sides to be able to do that. And, you know, I just don't want to get in a bidding war. My son's 5th generation Skagitonian. And like I said, my first reach out was just concern over the maintenance and not me having to do it. But if I'm going to have to do it, I'd like it to be in my name. And I'm just wondering with the bidding process, will people be informed of that? Unless the county has some other idea, nobody can build anything there. You know, it's just this tiny little lot. So that's my comment.
Thank you.
Do we have any additional public comment? Anyone online, please use the raise your hand function. With no comments, we will now ask the commissioners if they have any questions or comments regarding this
I
issue.
drove by the lot Saturday and yeah, I can see where it's no use to anybody except the adjacent property owner, so.
I do have a question for staff regarding the resolution. Is this appropriate time or should we end the public hearing and then I can ask a question regarding the resolution?
I would wait till the resolution part.
Okay.
If you have a question
Excellent.
regarding the property or the sale
Oh.
or how the, oh,
All right. I will now, do I have a motion to close our public?
Motion to close the public hearing?
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? We will now reconvene our regular board meeting at the time, and it is 4:48. All right, new business. We'll be discussing resolution 2314-25, declaring certain property, District Big Lake Lot, property 74619 surplus.
okay.
Are we-
You guys have looked at the resolution?
I did look at the resolution. I do have a very quick question on the resolution, just for clarification's sake, as far as the procedure goes. There is public bidding option as well as private discussion was how the resolution is worded. It doesn't just state public bidding process. So just to clarify what could transpire as far as the way the property will be sold.
Or to my counsel?
Excellent.
Or to-
Good evening, everybody. We have wide latitude on what form the sale takes, whether it's open bidding private bidding or just individual negotiation. So I think that we'll just probably invite bids and then open them, sometime after that and see if we have more than one offer. And to answer your question, I think the notice that will go out to announce the whatever process that we do will have information regarding whether it's a buildable lot and whether they would need a variance or anything like that within the county to build on it. So we're not going to be hiding the ball on any of it. And it's just what's been clear in the law for decades now is that we have a wide range of options on how to conduct the sale. So that's most likely what we will do is just invite bids and then see who makes one.
Typically what we've done in the past, so.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I think the reason we were thinking public bid was just because this hasn't been assessed since 2018. And so because we didn't get it appraised, I don't completely know if we'd feel comfortable with saying whether it's buildable or not, because that would be kind of a long process through the county. That's the lot certification piece that I talked about earlier. There are two, the map's not up anymore, but they're on the map. You can see there. So then adjacent like Freedom Lane, and there's another road that looks like they've been vacated and added to the surrounding properties. So there's kind of a host of issues that would take a while to dig into in order to know whether the lot was truly buildable or not. Like Mrs. Browning was saying, there are, a lot of setbacks that if you just take that little corner, it doesn't meet the current code. I don't know what, if it's grandfathered in. There's just a host of issues that we didn't get into with the county because of the time and the money that it would cost to do that. So.
Excellent, thank you. And I'm looking for a motion on this business item.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2314-25 declaring P74619 as surplus property.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. New business recommendation to reject bids, pipeline relocation at Alger Interchange project. We have.
Let's see, thank you. So we went out to bid on the Alger pipe relocation project. This is to relocate our water line in advance of the WashDOT project to provide fish passage. I think obviously these bids are pretty far off from our engineer's estimate. I think that the engineer may have underestimated the complications relative to the depth we have. It's 25 feet deep, and I think some significant shoring is going to be happening. The work is also required to be done at night, according to WashDOT, and a uniformed police officer needs to be on site for the traffic control. If we total up the traffic control, the shoring, and the pipe install, that's accounts for about $900 to $1.2 million of the overall bid. So those numbers were pretty far off. I think to a second part of this is, I don't know if we want to spend $2 million to relocate 215 feet of pipe. I feel like there are better ways to use that money and possibly, partner with WashDOT. Of course, it's going to be difficult we've attempted that, and now we're pushing a little bit harder on it. So for right now, we're kind of on hold with this. So we are.
So you're looking for a motion then to reject all bids?
That's what we are.
All right, I am looking for a motion
I would make a motion to reject all bids for the pipeline relocation at the Alger Interchange project.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, the last few items here are sole source with KPFF Consulting Engineers Thomas Creek for information and Judy Reservoir data. Any commissioner comments?
None for me.
I just have a lot of excited residents on the township area who are looking forward to a newly paved road, which I informed them that that road will then be torn up and repaved later. So buckle up. Executive session will be canceled. And that's all I have to say, right? Executive session, we're not going to have. Okay. All right. So we will adjourn our meeting at 4:55.